Hello, it's April, um, and I'm going to tell you how to do the snake diet if you can't stand to listen to the snake diet guy, Cole, and his loud mouth. Yeah. And I personally love him and his loud mouth, but that's something we'll get into later. Now, first what I'm going to do is just quickly give you the recipe for snake juice, and then we'll talk about everything else, in case you're looking for that recipe. So here it goes. I use one of these glass jars, no plastic, and a liter or quart, about the same thing. So what I do is a half teaspoon of potassium chloride. You can get the Now brand, and it comes in powder because you don't want capsules that can hurt your stomach. Second, you want a quarter teaspoon of real salt. Himalayan salt is good because it has minerals, or sea salt or whatever. Don't use fake table salt. And then a half teaspoon of baking soda. You can get the Bob's Mill, I think is what I have. I think that's what it's called. Or you can use Arm & Hammer if you want. It doesn't have aluminum and it won't hurt you, he says. So then a quarter teaspoon of magnesium sulfate, and you could buy that in bulk, or food grade Epsom salt, but it has to be food grade. You don't want anything with perfume in it. And then I put a half teaspoon of cayenne powder because I like it, and it makes it taste more like a broth with the salt, and it has benefits to it as well. So you just put that in the glass jar, shake it up real good, drink it as much as you want, because when you are fasting and you're in a state of ketosis, anyway, even if you're not fasting, your body is no longer retaining water like it used to. It runs differently. That's why people lose a bunch of water weight in the beginning. Water is not held in your body. You have to replace it, and you have to replace those electrolytes, because if you don't, then you're going to start to have issues like heart palpitations, because potassium regulates your heartbeat. And so if you're drinking plain water, the more you drink, the more you're going to flush out these electrolytes, and the thirstier you're going to be. You would think that it would make you hydrated, but it won't. It will do the opposite, because hydration is more than water. It's these electrolytes. And especially the third, fourth, fifth day, your electrolytes are just crashing. And then after a while, like I think after the fifth day or sixth day or something, your body starts to regulate them and preserve them. But yeah, especially if you're doing a long fast, you want to have those electrolytes. So there you go. There's the recipe for that. Next thing is, how often or for how long do I refeed, and then when do I start another fast? How long do I fast? How long until I start another fast? Now, I know that was my question when I was watching these videos when I first came across it, because I came to this first through Dr. Longo, who was on Rhonda Patrick's Found My Fitness podcast, and she's awesome, and the people she has on her podcast are awesome, so check them out if you haven't. But with him, he promotes a fast mimicking diet for what Cole would call pussies who can't do a real fast. And so he would say fast 5 days once a month or something like that. So I went into this thinking that, and when I was checking out Cole's videos or other videos, I was thinking, okay, someone just tell me, how long do I refeed? When do I start again? And the answer is, you only refeed once, one meal. Just one meal, and then you go right back into fasting again if you have excess body fat, because you don't actually need food as long as you have that excess body fat, well, according to the snake diet. And not just body fat, but you have extra proteins all over your body, scar tissue, damaged cells, inefficient cells, and your body is going to use that as proteins, and then the fat off of your body, and the minerals that are stored there. So technically, from what his videos say, there have been people who've gone like a year with a ton of body fat who haven't eaten, or people that have gone months. So you don't have to actually refeed if you're very overweight, but if you want to, you can. So that's according to the snake diet. Now I have my personal understanding of what I like to do, what I think is best to do, and this is based on reading studies and following research doctors and doing my own research online. And I've kind of come to the conclusion that humans are supposed to eat in cycles, and in the spring and summer there is a lot of fruit and vegetables available, and some meat, but so that's what you would eat a lot of, and you could eat more often because you're outside doing things, you're more active, you're burning off those carbohydrates, and there's just food everywhere growing all over the place, like more than you know what to do with. But then once you go into late fall and winter, a lot of places where there's snow, and I'm sure this depends on your heritage, your bloodline, where you come from and what you're acclimated to, but let's just say people who live, in summer, winter areas. In winter, there's not going to be food growing, and it's going to be freezing outside, and you're not going to have access to food very often. And when you do, it might be a little winter greens that grow and survive in the winter, and then you might have a kill and have a bunch of meat. But then in between that, you're going to starve. Well, not really starve, but yeah, I guess in nature it would be called starving. Now it's fasting. But you're going to go without food for a period of time in between finding another successful or having another successful hunt. And so both eating meat and greens, which would be a state of ketosis, and fasting are very similar. You're producing ketones in both, and you can easily switch between the two. And in fasting, you're running off of ketones, but you're also running off of the protein in your body. And that is the difference between ketosis, or, the keto diet, and fasting. Is the keto diet, you're only burning the fat if you're not eating too much fat. Because if you're eating a bunch of fat, why is your body going to want to burn fat if you're already giving it so much fat? But it can more easily. But then when you're fasting, you go into a state of autophagy. And if you're watching this and you don't know that much about autophagy, it is amazing. It is just mind-blowing. And if you should get out there and search the word autophagy and find out what it does. I mean, it's going to kill cancer cells. It's going to kill scar tissue. It's going to break down moles. It's going to break down damaged tissue. And not only that, but so after about 2 days or so, if you didn't have a ton of carbohydrates and meat and stuff in your body, and then you'll start going into a state of autophagy. And then from there, your body's going to start breaking down unnecessary proteins, as well as you're in ketosis, breaking down the body fat. And then once you get to about the 4th, 5th day, anywhere after that you refeed, you are going to get stem cells, which was thought that adults didn't even produce those, but you will be getting stem cells. So let's say you have damaged kidney or something like that, and when you're in the state of autophagy, it's eating up the damaged tissue. Then upon refeed, after the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th day, then that high nutrient, very clean food that you just ate is going to be taken to rebuild. And like Dr. Longo will say, the refeed is just as important as the fasting. And so you don't want to waste this on just doing a bunch of 48 hours. If you have body fat, think of that as your opportunity to repair your body. And if you're only doing a bunch of 48s, 48 and eat, 48 and eat, 48 and eat, then you're going to miss out on the autophagy and miss out on the stem cells, miss out on that repair. And I think I'll do a longer video on that later that's more specific, but that's pretty much the gist of it and what I believe, and this isn't what I've heard Cole say, or this is just from other research doctors that I've listened to and kind of putting the pieces together from all of these different researchers and different information that I found, and it's what makes sense to me. So just to recap, in the beginning I gave you the recipe for the snake juice. If you want to know how often to fast, how often to refeed, fast, I believe, at least 5 days, maybe 4, to 7, or maybe 12 at most, but it's not really necessary. Like, I think 2 7-day fasts would be as good as a 14-day fast, if not better, because you're getting more of those refeed, repair cycles happening. And so I'll do another post talking about what I eat, why I eat what I eat. Oh, last thing, supplements. At first I wanted to take supplements while I was fasting, even though you hear Cole say, quit messing this up. I've already made it simple, don't try to complicate it. But I wanted to take my fish oil and I wanted to take my, whatever, but really you don't want to, because you don't want to risk that anything you take is going to have some amino acids or protein in it. If you have even the slightest amount of certain amino acids and proteins, which I don't know, if all of them or just certain ones, because all of that information isn't really out there. But if you have even the slightest amount of probably most of them, then you're going to halt the process of autophagy. And that's what this is all about. Maybe for you it's about losing weight. Yeah, I want to lose weight too. And losing weight is good because it's a cycle, it's going to make you healthier. But it's also about repairing all this damage that we've done to our bodies, and you don't want to risk that by taking the wrong supplement. So that's reason number 1. Reason number 2 is fasting is a stressor. It's a good stressor. You want to stress your body, because after you do, it sort of makes your body stronger, and for something like inflammation, if you're taking anti-inflammatories while you're doing this, then you're not going to get that stress that helps naturally stop the inflammation. Just like when people work out and then take an anti-inflammatory like ibuprofen, then they found out that the effects from the stress itself weren't getting the full benefit out of it, because they were using something else to stop the inflammation. And I can explain this more specifically later in another video. I'll write down the scientific words or whatever. But so that's reason number 2. You want to naturally stress your body and don't interfere with it, to reset and strengthen your body so that it will naturally help repair the inflammation and problems on its own. And besides that, when you're fasting, that's not when you're trying to repair and rebuild your body. You don't need those nutrients. Like, everything you need is already in your fat, already in your body. You're not trying to accomplish that anyway. You're trying to accomplish breaking down and consuming your body, not nourishing it, Then when you refeed, that's when you want those things. So when you do your refeed, you can take your B vitamins and your fish oil and your whatever, do that then. Wait. Especially you don't want to be taking vitamin C, that's an anti-inflammatory. You want to wait. And certain things you wouldn't even think have amino acids in them. like, you know, green beans, anything that has protein, even cucumber, I wouldn't think would, but it does. So if you're taking little bites and sneaking bites of things, you're not hurting anyone but yourself. You're the one who's not going to get those benefits of autophagy. You're the one who's going to lose. So there are certain little things that you could get away with, but your real focus should be on breaking your food addictions anyway. So don't worry about that right now. Okay, guys, I gotta get out there and go make dinner. This is my refeed. I completed a 7-day fast. Today was the 7th day, and I plan to refeed for the night tonight, more than just one meal. I'm gonna fit in my sprouts and my kimchi and all that stuff. And then tomorrow I think I'm doing juicing for the day before I go back into a 5-day fast, I think. So I'm very proud of myself that I finished this, and I lost 15 pounds in 7 days. And I've done a few fasts before this, like, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 fasts before this, but now I'm doing them closer together, and I'm loving the progress. And if you want to find me on Instagram, it should say waterfast_girl or Snake Diet April. Either one, find me on Instagram, and I post daily updates. So, okay guys, happy fasting to you. Bye.